Picture this. In a world full of rhythm games, there are many good examples of how a wacky, random jumble of different things can make for a really good game, but you must wonder, how has the world gotten to this point? You may find yourself asking, where did this all begin? 1996 was a big year for video games as the N64 console released with its hit title Super Mario 64, and some other consoles like the PS1 released plenty of big hit games like Tomb Raider and Resident Evil. However, in the shadows of all these bright, amazing games was a first of its genre, that being Parappa the Rapper. The game first releasing in Japan started out pretty slow as a modest commercial sleeper hit before getting its worldwide release in 1997.
Once you played it, you can't get it out of your head.
Ribbit, ribbit, I cannot hold it, the last little toilet. Already sold it, ribbit.
Creator Masaya Matsuda, a well-known Japanese musician, would work with a very unique and wonderful artist Rodney Greenblatt, who designed products, clothing, and toys for PlayStation in the making of this one-of-a-kind game never seen before. The initial approach in making a game like this was the idea of a multimedia project that would combine hip-hop with an interactive quality. However, it is very interesting because this was never seen before, and in an exclusive interview with Matsuda and the producer of Crash Bandicoot, we can hear it described that even the team behind the making of this game had their own questions about it when it was released.
実際にそのパラッパが完成して、多くのその当時のスタッフの方がこれはゲームじゃないだろうと。
あ、そうですか。
自分でもよくわからなかった。
Matsuda knew about this issue with the development of this never-seen-before genre of game, which just goes to show how big of a risk it was. The big issue about this series is when you take this hip-hop, quick-button-pressing style of game that would be hard for children to play effectively, and then mix that with colorful, ambient, childlike worlds, it gets pretty tricky to know what the target audience is for the game. Many fans can see the mix of art and gameplay being targeted towards young adults and college students, so when the game was targeted towards kids in America, it may have stumped some of the sales it would have otherwise gotten. But that wouldn't stop fans, as Matsuda's goal of capturing this feeling of being able to perform music without needing to think about it had inevitably been a success. So much so that the game would receive an anime series the exact same year the sequel came out. Parappa would then make an appearance in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale a whole decade later, still showing that his legacy was a promising pillar of PlayStation. The series' last known game was in the form of a remastered version of the first game released in 2017. This means there has almost been a decade of no new Parappa content, and there is a very good reason for that I will talk about later. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, but my goal for this video is to go over the two mainline Parappa games, then talk a little about some of the other games made by the same creators, before I talk about the flaws that may relate to why we haven't heard much from the Parappa series. But anyway, looking back, we see that the philosophy for a fun, multimedia, first-of-its-genre rhythm game has been shown uniquely with the Parappa series, so why not take a closer look at this through the first game. After watching a movie called Jet Baby, Parappa and his friends PJ Barry, Katie Cat, and Sunny Funny head over to the local Chunky Burger to have some food and Frosties. Or at least that would be what they had if it weren't for the fact that they had to censor the word Frosty in the remastered version, which almost gave me a stroke thinking my audio wasn't working when I was getting footage for this video.
And I'll take a giant spicy fries, giant vanilla and cherry pie.
But anyway, as they are enjoying their censored food items, suddenly, the stereotypical one chubby, one skinny bully duo shows up and starts tormenting Sunny while the others eat their food uncomfortably loud.
Plenty of munchies for everyone, right?
Yeah. I know you need eating sounds, but did they really have to be that loud? Anyway, it all stops when the White Knight, that is Joe Chin, shows up to the rescue, only to blabber on about what he will do and how cool he is while the others leave. This doesn't stop Parappa though, as he daydreams about becoming a hero in order to stop the bad guys for Sunny on his own, which then somehow leads him to a dojo with a karate teacher named Chop Chop Master Onion, where he teaches karate moves in a monkey see, monkey do style of rap button pressing gameplay. If you you are already lost, then you might want to buckle in. That's because we are about to talk about the gameplay. This is one of my favorite parts of Parappa the Rapper, as with the whole icon moving across the screen and clicking the button at the right time gimmick being fun, the game takes it a step further. You see, with most rhythm games we see now, the goal is to match the buttons you need to press perfectly with the music. But what makes Parappa different is that it will actually reward you for pressing buttons on your own if it still matches the beat. When we look closer at each voice line that the Parappa the Rapper voice actor Dread Fox recorded, we can see that they are each cut and matched with the different buttons that you can click, which allows you to press buttons with the beat in a way that resembles when an artist will sample something in their song. I think out of all the decisions made by Matsuda, this one was the smartest, as it not only ties in the sampling, hip-hoppy feel with the music, but it also matches the idea of playing music without thinking about it like he wanted to in the first place. And another way this is shown is through how the game does not start you off in a tutorial, instead putting you right into the action from the first level, allowing you to find your own way to have fun with the game through the music. The way the game tracks how you are playing is through 4 different modes. If you click the buttons on target with how the teacher does it, then you stay in good mode. Mess up on 2 different bars consecutively and you will drop down to bad mode. Mess up on 2 more bars and you will drop down to awful mode. I always love it when games have multiple versions of songs depending on what area you are in, and for Parappa the Rapper, the music and scenery will change depending on what mode you are in. If you're in bad mode, it will add some weird horns and what sounds like duck noises. And if you end up in awful mode, it will change the song entirely to make it more dramatic or slow-tempoed. However, if you really know how to make a good sample and add more than what the icons are showing, you can get to cool mode. In this mode, the music doesn't necessarily change, but the teacher will give you a vocal cue to signify the change, like,
Man, you so good. I'm gonna lose money with students like you.
If you don't do enough, or mess around too much, then you go back down to just good mode with another voice line from the teacher. But simply put, cool mode has the same backtrack as the normal mode, but instead of following after what the teacher says, you instead are able to make up your own sample by clicking the button in any order with any rhythm that you want. And that is a basic overlay of how the gameplay works. Oh, and also if you're wondering what this score bar is, it doesn't really do anything. I'm guessing the developers were trying to make this feel arcade-like, but it doesn't really give you anything for having a higher score, unlike in the next game, which we'll get to in a bit. So, after the first level, we meet the crew at a place called Fat Donut, with a very creepy-looking dude running it. Other than the creepy dude, it's a pretty average day, and the crew decides that they want to go to the beach.
Don't we need a car to get anywhere?
Yeah. And a license, too.
Welp, I guess they have to wait. Or at least they had to wait until this really cool limo shows up. It's super long, brand new, and capable of going at a maximum speed of 463,000.
3,200.
Oh, and don't let me forget,
Final Panther seats, too.
I wonder who could be driving such a cool, unique, awesome car. You gotta be kidding me.
Hi. How do you like my new car, guys?
Man, it's fat.
Well, after showing off his ride and putting the moves on Sunny, the ladies sit in the front while the guys need to sit in the back. Which arguably is more fun anyway, just look at that pool! After Joe backs up directly into the Fat Donut, bringing up question for vehicular homicide and monoxide poisoning, Parappa envisions himself driving Sunny in a flying car.
I could take Sunny anywhere. How can I do that?
Well, first you would need to get your permit and depending on your age go through...
I gotta believe!
Or, you know, do that, I guess. This leads Parappa to take his driving test with a moose named Instructor Mussolini in another rap-style game with, in my opinion, the best backtrack out of all the stages we will see. Honestly, if my driving test was like this in real life, I might have passed within one of the 4 damn times it took me to actually get it.
What? I forgot to close the door. You forgot.
Don't make this awkward, but anyway, after Parappa— oh my god! Run! Someone help! Oh, that's just Parappa's dad. What the fuck is up with these weird characters? As I was saying, after Parappa gets his license, he takes his dad's car and is now able to drive the gang wherever they want.
You know, this This is really a lot of fun.
I don't think I would consider going headfirst off a mountain as a lot of fun. While Parappa is driving, he gets another vision, this time of him and Sunny on a boat, and as he is about to kiss her, he instead kisses a Mack truck. This crash literally sends them into outer space, leaving Parappa with his dad's broken car. Wait, no, get it off! But anyway, after a little more believing, Parappa must now find some way to fix his dad's car, and what better way to make money than a flea market ran by a Jamaican frog named Prince Flea Swallow. It's in this level where Parappa is taught many different lessons to the trade of selling, like or money is all you need. This song differs from the first two, with its slow beat and a highlight for hitting buttons within quick succession of each other. I honestly want to say it may also be the best designed visually as well, with how it handles the different camera angles. But anyway, after making some money, Parappa now has enough for a new car. I also just realized as of editing this that this little beatbox guy, who I thought was just a stuffed animal or something, is actually a pretty prominent character in the next game I'll be talking about very soon. Now back at the Fat Donut, with the guy who's kind of grown on me since I've seen Parappa's dad, we see the gang setting up for Sunny's birthday.
We need someone to get a present, we need someone to buy a cake, and someone to set up.
After playing rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets what, Parappa is assigned to get a cake. After picking a cheap but thoughtful cake, Parappa goes outside to see, you guessed it, Joe Chin.
Tomorrow's the big day, isn't it? You wanna see the cake that I got for Sunny?
Nope. After showing off the ginormous cake and then smacking Parappa's cake onto the ground, Parappa, who is starting to get low on money after buying the new car, needs to find a cheaper way to get a cake, which, by using the catchphrase we've become accustomed to at this point, now leads us to a cooking show run by a chicken named Cheep Cheep, who coincidentally has a program on how to make food on a budget. So we get to another level, and I need a pause to talk about something. If anyone watching this video has played the remastered version of Parappa the Rapper, or was planning on playing it, don't. What I am about to mention is the first flaw I had with this series, and it is by far the biggest one. So the first Parappa game got a remastered version, which means it has gotten all better graphics, better sound quality, and you would expect better gameplay, right? Wrong. When they were matching the song to the button clicking for the remastered version's internal timing system, they must have had the audio on fucking mute, because level 4 of Parappa the Rapper Remastered Edition is an absolute nightmare. With over 20 attempts and 30 minutes of my life I will never get back, I was able to barely get through it, and I did so by clicking the inputs basically a beat ahead of when it was shown. And the only reason I knew to do that is when I googled for help, which showed all the other people who were meeting the same fate as me. So I make my message clear. If you dare attempt the remastered version of Parappa the Rapper's Level 4, just know I tried to warn you. If you really wanted to play this game, I would highly suggest emulating it just to avoid that issue, because other than that level, I was having a lot of fun on everything else. But back to the story. Parappa makes this cake, and we are now on to Sunny's party. With Joe Chin finally getting the karma he deserves and dropping his cake, and some insane help from Katy Cat, it's now at the moment. The perfect sunset, at the perfect place, everything looks good, when all of a sudden...
I have to go to the bathroom.
In Parappa fashion, he of course just misses his moment. As he is driving Sunny home, he stops at a gas station where, to some surprise, all of his former teachers are waiting in line, and in order to see who gets the bathroom first, they decide to rap for it. Parappa slowly makes his way, beating each teacher in line, before finally making it to the toilet.
This is life.
This level feels like a final level, and you are then able to see a nice little montage of Parappa taking Sunny and his friends to a club where, after losing Sunny in the crowd, Parappa is invited on stage by a cool flea by the name of MC King Kong Mushi, who's apparently Rastafarian based on his hat and locks. Then, we get the grand finale, a symbol in both Parappa games, and a final party to commemorate all the experiences you went through. I really enjoy this level as it brings everything into perspective. All the teachers dancing in the background, people cheering Parappa's name, and Parappa shouting his catchphrase. This cartoony dog who we went on this crazy hip-hop fever dream of an adventure with is finally given his moment to truly shine. I can only imagine how people felt getting to this point, playing a game they never knew would surface a whole genre of rhythm games, all with its own wacky story. I'm glad to say that after playing and seeing this game for the first time, even through its flaws, it has made me realize the true importance of rhythm games, which is to feel the music and just have fun. Both things that Parappa had rooted in since day one. So yes, it is a flawed, outdated, old rhythm game. But starting a genre was never easy, and Parappa has done a successful job in my book. So where do we go from here? The first game is recognized heavily for its unique one-of-a-kind style and gains popularity in both Japan and America. 3 years later, in 1999, we get Unjammer Lammy, another game made by the same company within the Parappa universe focused on the same style of gameplay, but this time with the main idea focused on playing the guitar instead of rapping. This game has a lot more to it, so leave a comment down below if you want to hear more about it. But anyway, heading into 2001, a big year for Parappa, we see on April 14th the Parappa the Rapper anime started doing episodes. I've only watched a little of it, but I can definitely see the appeal for it from the show's art style, sound design, and overall feel. But that's not all for this year. We also get to witness the second Parappa the Rapper game being made and released. The idea of this game? Simply put, it's another vibrant and fun Parappa adventure set with advanced graphics, funkier music, and better gameplay overall. However, the game unfortunately had only received moderate reviews for where it had expanded in quality, it lacked an increase in content. But honestly, I would argue that the content that makes the game so special is hidden from the average player and requires looking at the game for the culture, specifically with how the game has ties to De La Soul, a popular hip-hop group at the time whose movement towards hip-hop helped inspire the vision for Parappa the Rapper 2. For the sake of time, I won't really be focusing on the story, as with the first game, you've probably already gotten an idea of how random it is. Instead, I will dive into some of the things that Parappa the Rapper 2 has over its predecessor when it comes to how it presents itself. What makes Parappa the Rapper 2 so unique to me is how it ties in so many different things from the Parappa universe into one game. For one, this game's structure is unique to the series as it takes the classic Parappa style of going level to level with story in between, but it also adds more video game elements to it that makes it feel like an actual game. For instance, the original Parappa the Rapper did not have a level selector until you completed the game, meaning you had to play it fully through in order to go back to your favorite level. In this game, they have a whole map, which allows you to go back to any level you completed, making for a much better experience. Another thing is with the saving system for this game. It's a lot more advanced, allowing you to save multiple save files with different naming options, which is very useful if you were to play the game multiple times. Speaking of which, when you beat the game for the first time, you may notice that Parappa's hat changes from orange to blue. This is because every time you beat all the levels with a certain hat, you can get a new hat of a different color that makes each level more difficult. You start with the main orange hat, then move on to a blue hat, then a pink hat, before finally getting the yellow hat. Once you complete the game with the yellow hat, you can no longer obtain any more hats. But there is a secret option where you can enter a harder difficulty by pressing down the right analog stick, holding it down, and then entering any single mode level. I've seen people compare this to a black or white hat, but those are largely myths and or modded. There's also a whole new battle mode, which is very underrated. The basic idea of this mode is, like a rap battle, you're trying to beat your opponent by creating a better rap than them, or in this case, a better sample, I guess. You can play it against someone with a different controller, or against a CPU. I still remember playing with some of my friends and laughing at all the weird things we could make the characters say.
Well, thanks, brother. Oops, you.
But either way, it's fun to experiment with all the different phrases that will show up from level to level in such an interesting game mode. Moving forward, I really like the nods to the older games when looking from level to level. An example of this is in the second level, which has the most well-known teacher from both games who has also made an appearance in Unjammer Lammy, that being Chop Chop Master Onion. You realize in the second game that he is now a romantic karate teacher, not only teaching you how to kick, punch, and chop like in the first game, but also how to do it all romantically, I guess. In the 4th stage, with the teacher named Instructor Musisha, in one of her lines, she pays a nod to another character we've seen before, showing that they are related.
Like my sister said, it's not as easy as you say. Remember that phrase again? When I say boom, 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 you say bam, bam, bam. No pause between, come on, let's jam.
We also see another nod to Unjammer Lammy as well within the cutscene of the 5th level, where she and Parappa both say their catchphrases before you get into the level.
Leave it to Lammy! Yeah, I know. I gotta believe.
What's wonderful about this level is being performed by Unjammer Lammy's band, which ties in both those worlds for one really groovy level. There's also extra optional bonus levels every 2 to 3 levels, where you need to try and click one of the PlayStation buttons as fast as you can in the original Parappa game Dojo. So with all these bonus features, we can definitely say that there is a lot more content here than there was in the first game. I also think it's a good idea to talk about Parappa's connection to the hip-hop group De La Soul. De La Soul was a popular hip-hop group at the time who were well known for their commercially brief Daisy Age movement, which was a way to reject hardcore aggressive styles of protest in hip-hop for a more optimistic Afrocentric style of approach, which, if you haven't already seen, play a very big role in the messaging that is shown in Parappa the Rapper as well. The group even recorded a song called Say I Gotta Believe for the original soundtrack, which can be heard if you wait long enough on the logo screen.
If you thought your dreams were fulfilled before, you need to come on back, Jack. Look who walked in the door. It's Parappa the Rapper, and my name is Paz. I'm known to MC for free or a car.
Also, after doing some digging, I found that they had a collaboration with a Japanese clothing brand called Wind and Sea that was selling this year, where they had some really cool crossover merch, but when I went to search for it, I found out that they had already sold out. But with how much the group's message of peace and love relate to Parappa, it is clear why they were such a good match for each other and how influential De La Soul was on Parappa the Rapper and vice versa. Well, if I haven't already made it clear, I love the Parappa the Rapper series with its pair of main games and other insanely cool Parappa-inspired games. I love the humor, the messaging, the vibrance, the music, all of it. I believe it's the first rhythm game it has done wonders for the genre and all the other audiences it has reached, and it still seems like PlayStation recognizes its legacy. But with all its glory and inspiration towards rhythm games, why does it feel like the creators have forgotten about it? As I've said before, there has been almost 10 years with no new Parappa content, and the question that many people will ask after hearing that is, why? A series that, with moderate ratings on their last game, but no doubt receiving a lot of recognition from PlayStation over the years, is now basically unheard of? I did some digging, trying to find an answer, which led me to a video of Rodney Greenblatt, the artist behind Parappa the Rapper, at an expo in 2019, being asked a similar question, and I believe it to be the best answer to this question.
This is probably on everyone's mind, so I'll ask it. Have you ever been approached about doing a third numbered entry in the Parappa series? And if not, would you work on it? And if you have been approached, can you tell us, if possible, some behind the scenes on why it never came to fruition?
It's very difficult to make another Parappa game. When you do these kind of games with a big company, they divide up the rights, right? There's all kinds of different rights to these games that go on and on. It's technical stuff. Sony managed to keep the game area of the thing, right? And then on my side, myself and my agent, we got the rights to the characters. And then there's Matsura. And we actually don't know what his scope is because he's so difficult to figure out. But anyway, it's hard to get back together. I don't know if any of you know, but there was a game called Major Minor's Majestic March. It's a totally obscure game that they tried to bring us back together to do, but it didn't work. Sony wasn't involved in that. But the thing was, Sony was, at that time, really supporting us well. We wanted to keep going, or at least I did. I'm not sure where Sony was, and I'm not sure even where Matsura was. He was already wanting to do something else. That's just the way it rolled out. I've always wanted to keep going. I mean, I think we should have been on Parappa 8 by now. Like big companies, the people change. There's nobody there now who worked on our games in 1996. My God, that's a long time ago. I think it's possible that there would be another Parappa game if someone at Sony woke up to this and really decided to do it. I'm not gonna say it won't happen, but it's difficult. That's where we're at. And that's all I'm going to say about Parappa 3.
I wish I could bring some more light to this, but I believe Rodney said it best. With everything separated and no real news from the Parappa universe, it seems like only time will tell when we receive some new information on Parappa the Rapper. Upon looking on social media, it seems like Masaya Matsura is currently focused on his music career, with no mention of Parappa anywhere. One important thing I found in my search was that as of December 6th of this year, it is the 30th anniversary of Parappa the Rapper, and I would bet that Sony or any of the creators would at least do something special for it. Cause come on, Parappa the Rapper was the first rhythm game and the most important one for the genre. It paved the way for what we are seeing in the rhythm world, and fans have made it clear that they appreciate this series for the enjoyment it has provided to all ages alike. So to anyone new coming into the series, and to all the people who are playing since the first game, don't forget to always believe. Thank you for watching.
Was that a party or what?
It surely was.